what I want you to know is this woman that you see standing before you is nothing short of a miracle of God, modern medical science, and technology. I've been slowly disassembled over the years, piece by piece. I've had my tonsils taken out, my appendix, and I've had a chemo port put in, had a full hysterectomy, and I've got some spare parts, and I'm missing some parts, and I got a few parts that I'm not exactly sure where they came from. But what I want you to know is, Bob, this is my hair, and that's a big deal, because I waited a long time for this stuff to grow. These, not my boobs. Not my boobs. My real ones tried to kill me, so I had to swap them out for this set. In May 2013, I found a lump in my right breast while I was performing a routine breast exam on myself. I went in to see my doctor about it, and she sent me off. I'm sorry, am I not? Sorry, better? Yes. Went in to see my doctor about it, and she sent me in for a mammogram. So, for those of you who've never had a mammogram, let me tell you a little bit about what you can expect and what it was like for me, okay? So I check in, and I get called back to this private waiting area. And the nurse hands me this little pink half of a hospital gown, and she says, put this on, open to the front, and have a seat back here, and the tech will come get you. So I'm sitting back in this private waiting room all by myself in my little pink half hospital gown, and this little old woman comes walking back. And she looks just like Edith Bunker from the Archie Bunker show. She's precious. And when she finally speaks to me, she sounds just like Edith Bunker from the Archie Bunker show. And she looks up at me and she says, oh my goodness, it's so cold back here. Do you think they could turn the heat up a little bit for us? And I say, yes, ma'am, it's very cold. And now that I'm really looking at this woman, I noticed that due to gravity's effect on aging female forms, her breasts are poking out the bottom of her little pink half hospital gown and resting ever so gently on her lap. And I'm trying really hard not to laugh at this woman, and I'm trying even harder not to stare. But thankfully, by that time, the tech comes and gets me, and I go back for my mammogram. I also want you to know, when you're back there, and the tech tells you that you need to hold your breath while they're taking that image, don't worry about that, ladies, because once your boob gets squished down in there, you're not breathing anyway. After my mammogram, they asked me to stay and have a sonogram done as well. And then I was called back to speak with the doctor. He told me that there were a couple of spots that they were concerned about, and that he wanted me to have those biopsied. So 2 days later, on a Wednesday, I went back and had my biopsy done. By Friday afternoon, I had my results. When my phone rang, and it was the radiologist, and he said to me, Ida, you have stage 2, grade 3 invasive ductal carcinoma. The only thing I could think was, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I've got 3 kids. This is not supposed to be happening to me. I'm 33 years old. I was terrified. I met with my surgeon, and she recommended that I undergo a double mastectomy, which I had done on July 9th, 2013. I also underwent genetics testing and found out that I am a carrier of the BRCA1 gene. For those of you who aren't familiar with BRCA, this carries an increased risk of breast and ovarian cancer. The bad part for me on that is knowing that I could have passed this gene along to my daughters. The good part is that we will have them tested in the future, and should they be carriers of the gene, we'll be proactive on their behalf. I think in all of this, telling my kids was my hardest part, because I wanted to be able to reassure them that everything was going to be okay and give them strength and courage to get through this. But inside, I was terrified. And when my oldest daughter, Abigail, looked me straight in the eye and she said, Mom, are you going to die? I did what any mother would do. I looked her square back in the eye and I said, no, I'm not going to die. I'm going to fight and I'm going to win, and everything is going to be okay. We will get through this. And I asked her to please be strong for me, and I promised them that I would be strong for them. On the day before my first chemo, I decided to let my kids cut my hair. I didn't want losing my hair to be this huge, traumatic, scary, horrible thing for me, and I didn't want it to be scary for them either to see their mom with no hair. So I decided we would try to make something fun out of it. So together with my husband, my girls cut my hair and shaved my head, and I told them that they could keep a lock of my hair, and about that time I looked down to see my youngest daughter, Bailey, stuffing it all into a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. I began 16 rounds of chemotherapy on August 12th, just 2 short days after my 34th birthday. I did 4 rounds of a medicine dubbed the Red Devil and 12 rounds of Taxol. Now, I knew that before I started chemo, I was going to lose my hair, but nobody told me that at some point in time during my therapy, there would come a day when I would look in the mirror and see a fat, bald man with a vagina looking back at me. I remember feeling like I was trapped inside this body that had just betrayed me. And it was really hard to look in the mirror and see a stranger looking back at me. At my lowest point, I had just finished my 3rd round of the Red Devil. And they don't call it that without a good reason. I was feeling horrible. My muscles ached constantly, my bones hurt, I was tired, I was sick. I was just spiritually, mentally, physically tapped out. I was done. And I remember I was so mad at God. And I was getting ready to take a bath, and I was crying, and I was praying, and I was saying, God, why did you do this to me? I don't understand. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. I hurt. I'm done. I don't understand. And as I was sitting in the bathtub, I got this vision. And it was my youngest daughter, Bailey. And it was her wedding day. And she's standing in this room with this woman who was not me. And this woman is fluffing her dress and fixing her veil and telling her how beautiful she is. And Bailey turns around and looks at this woman, and I can see her face, and her perfect makeup is ruined, and she's crying, and she looks at this woman and she says, I wish my mom was here. I miss her so much. And that was the moment that I knew I had to keep going. I had to keep fighting. I had to see it all the way through. And later that night, I was talking to my best friend who lives in Colorado, and she said to me, Ida, God's not doing this to hurt you. God is doing this to make you stronger. And growth is almost always painful. Having cancer's taught me a lot of things. The first of which is, ladies, if you find a man who will stick by you at your absolute worst, I'm talking no hair, no boobs, no eyebrows, no eyelashes, you're moody, you're cranky, you're needy, yeah, bad. You better thank God for that man every single day. My husband Mike and I were only married 2 short years before we had to walk through this storm together. And he stood by my side through it all. I know at times he was probably exhausted and terrified, but he never let it show. He was my rock. And I thank God for him every day. Having cancer has also helped me find a strength inside of me that I never knew was there. It's sharpened my faith, and it's taught me what's really important in life. I saw God in every step of my journey. I saw him in the eyes of my surgeons as they prayed with me before my surgeries, and I heard him in my friends and my family's prayers. And even though at times he seemed like he was really far away, looking back, I can see him clearly through it all. What I want you guys to know, what I want you to take away today is that cancer does not discriminate. Cancer doesn't care what color you are, what religion you follow, doesn't care if you're a busy mom with 3 kids and one of whom is a little 2-year-old boy who's into everything, climbs on everything, and makes you crazy, and you're going to college and working full-time and wanting to get into nursing school. Cancer doesn't care about any of that. It's not waiting for you. Cancer can happen to anybody at any time. I want you to stop for just a moment and think about 8 important women in your life. Whether it's your mom, your sister, your daughters, your grandmothers, your sister-in-laws, your aunts, 8 important women that are vital to your life. Can you see them? Pick one of them to fight cancer, because that's what the statistics are. That's what research shows us, that 1 in 8 women will battle this disease in her lifetime. Ladies, do your monthly self-exams, please. Have your yearly mammograms, don't put it off. I wasn't even at the age when women are supposed to start their yearly mammograms. So can you imagine what would have happened if I hadn't done my monthly self-exam? You'd be listening to somebody else right now. I would like to thank the Zonta's Club for having me out tonight. And I would like to thank all of you for coming out to support such an important and worthy cause. Thank you all, and God bless you.